Let it be known that the true light shines in every woman and man that cometh into the world. The true light that shineth in the darkness, but the darkness comprehendeth it not. Let us all, within earshot of this true light fellowship, bear witness to the true light within, that we may, like the real and living Messiah, Yahshua Christ, whom many know today as Jesus Christ, pick up and bear our own cross, that we may be worthy of the Messiah by way of the Christ or Christ consciousness, known also as the first resurrection. And as we are now living in these times, let us all rise from our sleep and slumber and do the works of the Most High Heavenly One, this day and every day, as we say, Amun, Amun, Amun. Well, Namastu, and welcome to another Sunday service here at the Holy Qubtic Church. And we want to welcome those that are in our listening congregation. We want to encourage you to come out here any Sunday at 9 a.m. or Wednesday at 7 p.m. We have our True Light Fellowship and Bible Study, which is more question and answer. And of course, today we come with a message from the original books of the Bible, as well as from the various versions that you may be holding as we delve deeper into the mysteries of atonism. And of course, it's always good to see those who did make it. We appreciate you being here. And want to always encourage you to continue to come out, continue to persevere. Like I always say, just show up. Sometimes that's the hardest part, just show up. And Most High will do the rest. And so I want to start today with a verse out of the original books of the Bible on page 34. And today's sermon is entitled, Emancipate Yourself from Mental Slavery. In the words, of course, of one of our saints in the Holy Qubtic Church, Robert Nesta Marley, also known as Bob Marley. And of course, this particular sermon is always timed. We have this sermon every year around this time. As this is the long weekend. This is the Emancipation Day holiday or holy day. And so we start in book 1, which is the book of the creation, number 4, on page 34, verse 26. And it reads, Many woes of the fallen tar earth. However, there is universal stability called Ma'at, which is the scales of order, balancement, and justice, which teaches all members of humanity that seek to consciously and conscientiously return in the bosom of the Most High Heavenly One, that after the death and rule of impure dissipating ether, which is 6 or sex mentality spirits, along with its progeny, the dead ghoul, which is the ghost soul, 3 ether or ghost, which is the Greco-Roman god host, and its progeny, pure living ether, 9-minded soul, and its progeny will eventually resurrect, be restored to life again, and rule again. Okay? This is a very key verse, and it's a key time with regards to us understanding what the topic of today's sermon is, which is to emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Okay? Nobody can do that for you. Only person that can do that for you is you. Amen? And so this weekend, many people are just happy to have a holiday, and I understand that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what that shows is that we truly are not free. Okay? Because the word holiday really is holy day. It's supposed to be a sacred day. It's supposed to be a day in our calendar that gives us time for reflection and allows the entire country to come together and honor a particular event. In this instance, of course, we are honoring Emancipation Day. And so I want to just take a quick moment just to refresh our memories, little history refresh on Emancipation Day. And I pulled this from a nice little website, and it's talking about Emancipation Day in the Bahamas. It says on the 1st of August in 1834, the Act for the Abolition of Slavery throughout all British colonies came into effect in the Bahamas. As with all things that dealt with slavery, there would be a transitionary period before full freedom could be realized. There was a compulsory apprenticeship system that was implemented to usher the slaves from an era of being owned to a period of life when they were no longer deemed property. During this apprenticeship period, ex-slaves were to be dependent on their former masters for employment, and the masters dependent on their former slaves for labor, and small compensation was to be paid out. During the apprenticeship period, employers were still responsible for maintenance. Special magistrates were appointed from England to ensure that the rules of the apprenticeship were being followed. Also, in an attempt to make apprenticeships civil, ex-masters drew up contracts with their former slaves, which outlined the amount of hours an ex-slave could work. Apprenticeship passed rather smoothly in the Bahamas, with poverty playing the decisive role. As a result, full freedom was realized in 1838. To commemorate this special date in every Bahamian's life, the first Monday during the month of August has been recognized as a national holiday in the Bahamas to celebrate Emancipation Day. Alright? So, quick history lesson. Learned in school. We hear it every year. And today we can question, exactly as we do every year, how free we are, what is freedom, and if we are indeed free, then we need to start acting like it and not be afraid. And we need to hold those who say that we are free accountable. Because if you're free, then you're free. You're free all the time. You're not just free on the weekends. You're not just free on the holiday. You're not just free after work. You're not just free before work. You are free all of the time. And unfortunately, that's not what we see in our country. And so I point back to this apprenticeship period, because it appears to me that we really never came out of the apprenticeship period. You understand? Based on what this is saying here. Alright? So there was a compulsory apprenticeship system that was implemented to usher the slaves from an era of being owned to a period of life when they were no longer deemed property. Well, what happened in this regard is, no, they don't own you, but they own your property. And if you want the property, you got to work for it. So they still own you. Even when the property is paid for, you still got to pay property tax. So it's still in your property. When you buy a car, you pay customs once. That's it. That's your car. But with the land, you got to continuously pay property tax. So really, you have your land. Yeah, they can take it when they're ready. You understand? During that apprenticeship period, now you tell me if this sound like the date or in 1838, around 1834. During the apprenticeship period, employers were still responsible for maintenance. Special magistrates were appointed from England to ensure that the rules of the apprenticeship were being followed. They don't have to send the magistrate here no more because we go there, we learn and come back. Thinking like them. Right? Also, in an attempt to make apprenticeship civil, ex-masters drew up contracts with their former slaves which outlined the amount of hours an ex-slave could work. That's the labor board now. The labor act. Okay? So, you are in a position to receive a small compensation, alright, as it says here in this article. During this apprenticeship period, ex-slaves were to be dependent on their former masters for employment, and the masters depended on their former slaves for labor, and small compensation was to be paid out. That's still happening today. Okay? The governments, successive governments, not a political statement, successive governments have not been able to rein freedom in. The system was never designed for you to be free. Okay? Yes, you may now have freedom to move about, but it's just like if they were to unlock all of the gates in Her Majesty's prison and tell you could go to any cell you want to go to and set up little booths and stuff around the place, let you work, charge you for the booth, start charging you for the cell now what you was living in, and give you a key there and tell you you're free. But many don't venture outside the walls of Her Majesty's prison, which ultimately, today, that wall represents the wall around our minds. Because many people today will argue with you to the ground, if you feel like arguing that long, about the fact that they are free. And the reason why we feel that we're free is because our imagination has been tethered. Our imagination has been tethered. We don't even think far enough to want to do things that free people actually do. You understand? We want to call ourselves men and women adults. But men, women, adults, grown-ups, independent, free people do free things. Like start factories, manufacture their own goods, feed themselves, educate themselves, and most importantly, worship themselves. We have not fully met the requirement for being free. We don't produce for ourselves, and so far as we are a consumer. This is why the United States and other countries love us so much. It's because they can make so much money off of us. Remember what this article is saying. It says, during this apprenticeship period, ex-slaves were to be dependent on their former masters. So you're not producing for yourself, therefore you are dependent on your former masters. Alright, for employment. And then it says the masters had to be dependent on their former slaves for labor. So that came by way of you either working the models that they had in place or being a consumer in the system that allowed for them to gain off of you. So we spend upwards of $500 million a year importing goods to this country. Somebody is making a lot of money because we import, because we're not free, because we are not producing for ourselves. But why again? Our imagination has been tethered. We don't even think that far. We don't even think we can do that. We don't even think it's worth doing that. Like a customs officer told me, if you really want to make money from farming, you should go start in Haiti so you can import all the produce into the country. Yeah, let me say that again. You're looking at me crazy. If you want to make money from farming, you should go start in such a place as Haiti where then you can import the goods, because that's how our taxation structure is. It comes in with VAT now, but I don't think they know what it is. Value added tax. That's a euphemism for you got to spend more money, right? And so we really now have to start delving and touching on, so what is it that is causing our mind to be tethered? What is it that is not allowing for us to think outside of the box, so to speak? And you have to look past what physical freedoms you gain and now look at how spiritually trapped you still are. Alright? Because we're now spiritually trapped insofar as we're not fully allowed to express ourselves spiritually. We are all the soul of the Most High having a physical experience, not the other way around. Physical people like to walk around and talk about having a spiritual experience. No, you're having a physical experience as a soul of the Most High. And we all share the same soul. And that soul manifests in the blood, which is why at the end of the day, it is what? One blood. One blood. Alright, we're going to touch on that in the book of Acts chapter 17 later on, because I'm going to read some portions of one of Marcus Garvey's speeches. Okay? And this is in the 1900s. And as we read it, we're going to see how applicable it still is to us today, which lets you know that we really have not grown as a people. We have only gotten to the point where it appears as if we're doing better, but that's because we were treated so horribly in the past that any bit of relief that we got seemed like freedom. You come home and beat a person every day and deprive them of life, liberty, and just the ability to be a human being, and then you get them Wednesdays off from the cut-up. Well, that's an improvement. They'll start thanking you for that. Oh boy, I'm so happy you're going to beat me on Wednesdays. If you don't want me to continue beating you, if you want me to continue not beating you on Wednesday, then this is what I need you to do. And that's kind of the predicament we're in. Alright, we stop whipping you. You've built the system now. We're going to allow you to run it. Okay? So, if you don't want us to come back in and start whipping you and depriving you of some things, then I'm going to need you to run the system and we set it up for you. Yes, master. Yes, master. You see? So, today we can go a little deep. We can talk about some things that people don't like to talk about. Because I'm going to touch again on Genesis chapter 2, verse 4. We always touch on it with regards to Nubian Melanites. I want y'all to see something now. Revelation 2, verse 4. Because no longer can we pretend that these things don't exist. It says, let's read it together. These are the generations of the heavens and of the earth, when they were created in the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens. So that's Genesis 2 and 4. Generations of the heavens and the earth. Now often we talk about the generations of the heavens and the earth as it relates to our guardian angelic hosts and understanding our link to the celestial heavens. But we must also note that other groups or so-called races also have a genetic link to the celestial heavens. It's not only the Nubian Melanite, the parent race of the planet, but also those who came after. And so today, let's jump on to page 274, because I want us to understand who it is that is perpetrating this mental slavery, and why it is it's so difficult for us to break this habit of being enslaved. It's a habit now, you know. It's literally we addicted to slavery. We addicted to white supremacy. Worse than cocaine, worse than heroin. You understand? Because at least if you on cocaine, you know you on cocaine. When you addicted to white supremacy, you don't even know you on that stuff. You understand what I'm saying? You think you really free. You really think you got it going on because you could pay your taxes. You built it and then they tax you for it. That don't make no sense. So verse 82, actually verse 81, page 274, and this is a book in the original books of the Bible, which is book 14, the book of the graftation of the Adam son of Europa. So Adam son of Europa, the Adam that is being spoken of are the actual Hindus that were in Bali. People were grafted out of them. Now this is real, okay? This is not philosophy, okay? And anyone that wants to refute it, I want you to ask them if the Canaanite, so-called Caucasian, was not grafted out of the Hindu, can tell me where they came from. Okay? Because all of their stories go back to mythology. Now, this sermon is not about hate white people. That's not what we're doing here today. That's not what we're doing here today. You're going to see that too as we read the Marcus Garvey speech. Alright? But I need to know who and what I'm dealing with. I don't hate alligators. I don't hate lions. I don't hate snakes. I don't even hate centipedes. But like my children always ask me, for any animal, Daddy, what centipedes do? Now that's their way of saying, what is it we supposed to look out for from this animal? What dogs just do? What lions just do? They go down the list. What snakes just do? Okay? So now we got to ask the question about one of the races on the planet referred to as the Caucasian. And it's not only the Caucasian, it's also the Hindu, it's also the Oriental, it's also the Pale Arab. The question is, what did this do? Verse 81 on page 274. Verily, verily, there will some who seek true faith. There will be some that seek true faith that will have doubt in their hearts concerning the Qubtic ways. Yet that is to be expected, as it is also a part of the balancement which atonism promotes. So things that we say today, yes, some doubt will come. This is why you have to study to show yourself approved, not believe. Not sit down and listen to show yourself approved. Study. Don't accept anything that you hear me say. Go and check these things out for yourself. Alright? These fallen angelic beings from Aldebaran were the ancestors of the so-called Nordic families. Thus, they are the foreparents of the peoples of Scandinavia, Germany, and the Anglo-Saxons. Uh-oh. So you mean to tell me the people from Scandinavia, Germany, and the Anglo-Saxons had some parents that were considered the fallen angels? These are the same fallen angels that's talked about in Revelation chapter 12, that were sent down with that old serpent, that old dragon, the devil, Satan, Lucifer, that we were all told to beware of. Woe unto the earth and to the seas, because that's where the devil is. Yeah? Come on. There shall be those who, when they read or hear these verses, shall say, surely we have already known these things. Yet they never can say why they never spoke with such clarity if they already knew of such clear things. So if you don't feel as if what we're saying is something that you could benefit from, then all we ask is, well, why aren't you out there teaching it then? You already got it figured out. While in the Caucasus Mountains of Europa, the fallen angelic beings from Aldebaran initiated a plan by which to build up a large amount of the pure albino strain of the Adam son of Europa, known as the Canaan group or the Canaan, before using them to perform genocide or genetic suicide on the darker families of humanity for the purpose of usurping and supplanting rulership of Tar Earth's families, lands, and resources. So you have these fallen angelic beings from a star system called Aldebaran. So look it up, it's real. These are the same beings that came to Hitler in 1940s, around World War II. This is why he wanted to exterminate the so-called Jew, to create what he deemed a pure race. Okay, he talked about these gods with blonde hair and blue eyes. All right, this is history. Ain't nothing deep. It is what it is. All right, but we got to understand why we are not thinking the way we're supposed to think. All right, so you understand now why I pointed you to the generations of the heavens and the earth, because each group of people on this planet has a generation of the heavens that are creating their kind on the earth, so that they can control this realm called Tar Earth. Okay, so these beings from Aldebaran, I don't want you to think they hiding. I told you I don't know when it's going to air, but I was on Controversy TV, and you got this group called the Rallians seeking an embassy in the Bahamas and in different places. They went from here, I think, the Turks and Caicos or the Caymans or whatever, and they're trying to set up embassies around the world. They're the ones behind cloning. They had a company called Clone Aid that they were starting to do some things, if I'm not mistaken, in Andros. That got shut down. This is when I was in college. I actually picked up on Clone Aid. All right? But they're saying the same thing, mind you. They're saying, well, the Elohim came and genetic manipulation and da-da-da-da. And I'm like, yeah, beautiful. But in the image and after the likeness. I say, why they send a little white man to come to a black country to be an ambassador? Now I understand how ambassadorship works. You send an example or a representation of who you are to a country. So I don't have anything against white people, but I understand the nature of some white people. And that nature doesn't only stop with white people, because blacks and Chinese and Orientals and Indians and all races now have been infiltrated by these star people, these fallen beings that created this canine group. Dog is man's best friend. Canine group, Canaan. Okay? Now I don't want people, let me just pause here, because I don't want people to say, oh, Pastor Eneas is a racist, and the Holy Qubtic Church is racist, and I get around there, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's look in the Zondervan King James Study Bible, and we can look in the commentary, because I don't want you for a minute to feel as if we're just making these things up. Now Genesis 9:25 reads, and he said, cursed be Canaan, the servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. Alright? So cursed be Canaan. Canaan is one of the sons of Ham. Okay? One of the sons of Noah. Noah was perfect in his generations. So something slipped in to Ham's genealogy in order for his fourth son to be cursed. Okay? But here's what the scholars say out of the King James Version, the Zondervan King James Version Study Bible. It says, cursed be Canaan. Some maintain that Ham's son was to be punished because of his father's sin. Of course, the sin that they're referring to is when his father was drunk and he looked upon his father, blah, 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 blah. You can read it in Exodus 20. Okay? It goes on to say, but Exodus 20 restricts such punishment to them that hate me. Alright, so let me just go back so we're not confused. Some maintain that Ham's son was to be punished because of his father's sin. But Exodus 20 restricts such punishment to them that hate me. It is probably better to hold that Canaan and his descendants were to be punished because they were going to be even worse than Ham. Servant of servants. Joshua's subjection of the Gibeonites is one of the fulfillments. Noah's prophecy cannot be used to justify the enslavement of blacks, since those cursed here were Canaanites who were Caucasian. Okay? Those cursed here were Canaanites who were Caucasian. So when we talk about the Canaanites, we talk about Caucasians that the Zondervan King James Study Bible say that the Caucasians was cursed. Okay? Now these same Caucasians, in the original books of the Bible, you learn that their parents are none other than the fallen angels from Aldebaran. Pale skin, blue eyes, blonde hair, which if you read in the book of Leviticus chapter 13 and 14, are characteristics of the curse. Okay? They know this. Okay? Because when they talk about leprosy and the variations of it, they call it Hansen's disease. Not Ham's disease. That's what the scientists say. Hansen's disease. Okay? And then if you go and look up the website that deals with albinos, guess what they call our website? Noah. Right? I gotta say these things because I don't want, when you go out there and you speak, you gotta speak intelligently. Alright? And Noah, just so we clear, Noah is an acronym for the National Organization for Albinism and Hypopigmentation. So hypo means below. Okay, NOAA stands for the National Organization for Albinism and Hypopigmentation. It's called NOAA. And Noah's son is Ham. And the disease is called Hansen's disease. Come on, man. This is why we can't think. Because these things are right in front of our face and we're not even seeing it. You understand? And they want to know why we have the Qubtic Church of the Black Messiah. Because if you put a God in the front of you that's suffering from albinism or hypopigmentation, then you're saying that the God is cursed. According to who? The Zondervan King James Study Bible. You understand? Yeah, it may upset some people, but guess what? You're a slave. Wake up. So it goes on to say then, it talks about how these fallen angelic beings, they wanted to build up a large amount of pure albino strain of the Adam son of Europa, known as the Canaan group or Canaan, before using them to perform genocide, which is genetic suicide on the darker families of humanity for the purpose of usurping and supplanting rulership of Tar Earth's families, lands, and resources. So that is what has been happening. How has that been happening? When we jump over to verse 94 on page 275, it says, "In the latter day, the holy name of An-Neri shall be spoken amongst all nations once more. Gradually, the blended Adam son of Europa, known as the Canaan group or Canaan, the Cain." All right, so this Cain is also your Cain and Abel story. When you go into who the Cadmonites were, or who Adam was, and you get into their story and see that every fourth child, like Canaan, had albino, or albinism, and they created, it was enough of them that became the Cain group that fought against their brothers and sisters that became the Abel group, or the Ab-Els. You understand? And this story goes even further back into time of race, but for the sake of time, we want to stay focused. Okay? So this, gradually the blended Adam son of Europa, known as the Canaan group, or Canaan, the Cain, extended their territory from Turkestan into southern Russia. Now this is interesting, because it's exactly where certain Jews came from, the Tsars, that converted to what they call Jewishism. Jewish, a little bit, they ain't fully, right? They created what they call this Jew religion. Jesus was not a Jew. There was no tribe of Jew. There's a tribe of Judah, originally known as Huda or Iuta, that comes out of Africa. But they created a whole nother tribe called the Jew, which is coming out of the Greek and the Hebrew. Take the G and the R from Greek, and take the G from the Greek and the EW from Hebrew, and you get Jew. These are the Jews that Revelation 2:9 and 3:9 are not talking about. Now I want the skeptics out there to realize and understand clearly now that anything that I say, I'm pointing to a scripture. So your problem, if you have a problem, is not with me, but with the scriptures. Okay? Get on your knees and figure it out. Revelation 2:9 says, I know thy works. Now this is in the red writing. This is Jesus talking now. Who we know as Joshua. Okay? He's saying some stranger. Okay? I know thy works and tribulation and poverty. Then in brackets it say, but thou art rich. You run around making people feel sorry for you, but you run the world. Because Jew really is short for Jula. You the ones in Africa taking the resources and selling it back to people, but then you won't have people watching Schindler's List every year. Which I don't have a problem with. Beautiful. We just should be watching Roots and Sankofa and some other movies every year as well. We need to talk about our Holocaust as well. It's still going on actually. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews, and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Now this Jesus saying to people who's walking around saying that they're Jews, but they're not. Then if that wasn't enough, he made sure he said it again in Revelation 3:9. Still the same red writing. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews, and are not, but do lie. What's the lie? What are they lying about? They're lying about the fact that they're Jews. They're lying about the fact that they're God's chosen people. They're lying about the fact that you are a Gentile, when in reality you are the parent race of the planet, which is what scientists and all people who have any recollection or understanding of how things work in nature are saying. Yet these so-called Jews that are called the synagogue of Satan, called the synagogue of Satan in the book of John 8 as well, but we are of Abraham. He said, if you know Abraham, you know me. You understand? And now they have to go and find out that the Lemba tribe and the Igbo tribe out of Africa have more of the Kohen or priestly gene than these Jebusite Jews could ever dream of having. You understand? Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. It didn't say when they feel like it, they come and worship you. It says, I will make them. You understand? This is why it's so important for us to stand up in this day and time. Because how would the Most High Heavenly One make somebody worship you if you ain't ready? Huh? You got to be ready. You got to be doing what you're doing. I ain't saying you doing it just for them to come and worship you. I'm saying when you get out of your mental slavery, you're going to do things that's going to make them know you God's chosen people. Or I should say, Ane Ray's chosen people. Because God is their word. God is Zeus and Jupiter and Dionysus. So they are chosen. They are chosen of their gods. But those gods never meant us any good. And if you don't mean me good in the physical world, I know for hell you don't know me good. You don't mean me no good after I dead. So don't tell me I can get heaven after I die. That's another slavery ploy. So I asked the rallying. I said, I respect everything you have to say, so however, when it comes to ships and white people, be a little curious. You're coming out, you can see. You trying to tell me we brought here by the good ship Jesus. Now all of a sudden some more white people coming to talk about some more ships to take us to. No man, you're gonna have us picking cotton for angels' robes. No sir. You ain't going there, we can bring our heaven dirty. That's what Jesus told us to do. So if you get on the ship and you go to another planet, you deserve whatever you get. So they say, what, 144,000? No, 144,000 are those who are going to be taught and return to this planet. 144,000 Melchizedeks. That's what it's talking about. Alright? If you don't know what you're talking about, then you should just be quiet. It's the day and time now for truth to reign. You understand? Amen? And so, Revelation 2:9 and 3:9 goes on to speak about these so-called people who call themselves Jews. And now let's go into the written books of the Bible again, where it says that, I'll start again from verse 94. In the latter day, the holy name of Ane shall be spoken amongst all nations once more. Gradually, the blended Adam, son of Europa, known as the Canaan group or Canaan, the Cain, extended their territory from Turkestan into southern Russia. In those days, England was connected to the continent. Thus, at times, there was a continuous land path from England to Java. Java, Javan, Greeks, Ionians. Yeah. These words are for all those who reside on tar earth. Culturally and spiritually, the most advanced of the early tribes of the Adam son of Europa, known as Canaan group or Canaan, the Cain, existed in the region of the Caspian Sea and were called Jebus, the Jacobite. Jebus the Jacobite. This tribe were the most spiritually advanced of all the tribes of the Adam son of Europa, known as the Canaan group or Canaan the Cain, whereby they developed the original mythological, also called magical aspects of monotheism, by which they sent out the Europa's first missionaries spreading Christianity, not Christianity, Christianity as in Krishna, the Hindu god. You understand? But why would they be sending out prophets to talk about Christianity? Because they came from Adam, and Adam was the Hindu. That's why they call them Caucasian. Carcass, Asian. Decaying, Asian. A grafted Asian. You understand? That's why if you put a Hindu and a Caucasian next to each other, basically speaking, you're just looking at someone who's been stripped of their melanin, but they have the same texture here and the same features. You understand? This is not racism. This is, for black people, if y'all wake up and if y'all want to get right, y'all better know this stuff. This is called universal knowledge. If you want to be like other races and do what other races have done, see, they know who you are. So they do everything to make sure you don't know who you are. Because they know that when you wake up, they can't rule you anymore. You understand? So they were spreading Christianity, all with the intentions of world domination and total subjugation of all people, especially those Melaninite families which resided on tar earth. And so as you can see, their plan has gone on unfettered now for century after century after century. But of course, the Most High Heavenly One is the best of planners. And in the 1900s, one of the greatest freedom fighters of our existence, of our time, one Marcus Mosiah Garvey, Moshe Garvey, was waking us up so that we could rule ourselves. And listen to what Marcus Garvey is saying now, because if you didn't know, if I didn't tell you that this came from Marcus Garvey, and you didn't know who Marcus Garvey was, I could say this speech, and you would think I just wrote it last night. Alright? Only a couple of things in there based on time-wise, you know that this Marcus Garvey. He says, there is no future for a people who deny their past. My foreparents, my grandparents, my mother, my father did not suffer and die to give me an education to slight, oppress, and discourage my people. I want the leaders of the country to listen to this. I done post this on Facebook. Actually, when I go home, I can post it on a lot of PLP and after them. I can post it on them. You understand? Because they need to know their ancestors didn't send them to the school to oppress or discourage their own people. Amen. Whatsoever education I acquired out of their sacrifice of over 300 years, I shall use for the salvation of the 400 million black people of the world. And the day when I forsake my people, may God Almighty say, there shall be no more life for you. That's the kind of leaders we need. That's the kind of leaders we have. That's the kind of leader I am. Amen. I unequivocally rejected the racist assumption of much white American Christianity, namely that God had created the black man inferior, and that he intended Negroes to be a servant class. He was of wood and drawers of water. But we just read who the servant class is supposed to be, the Canaanites, according to the Bible, a servant of servants. Well, I predicated my view of man on the doctrine of imago Dei. All men, regardless of color, are created in the image of God. From this premise come the equality of all men and brotherhood of all men. The biblical injunction of Acts 17:26 reminds us that he created of one blood all nations of men to dwell on the face of the earth, and is most interested in brotherhood than with one's own race. Because if Negroes are created in God's image and Negroes are black, then God must in some sense be black. Alright? And let's just take a peek at Acts chapter 17 and 26 so we can understand exactly what it is Marcus Garvey is saying. It said, and hath made of one blood all nations of men, for to dwell on all the face of the earth, and hath determined the times before appointed, and the bounds of their habitation. And did what? 17 verse 26. And hath made of one blood all nations of men, for to dwell on all the face of the earth, and hath determined the times before appointed, and the bounds of their habitation. So each group of these people is supposed to be in a specific part of the planet. Alright? So that's Acts 17:26. You can just highlight it. Read the whole chapter when you get a chance. Alright? It goes on to say, if the white man has the idea of a white God, let him worship his God as he desires. We have found a new ideal because God has no color, and yet it is human to see everything through one's own spectacles. And since the white people have seen their God through their white spectacles, we have only now started to see our God through our own spectacles. Qubtic Church of the Black Messiah. But we believe in the God of Ethiopia, the everlasting God, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy One, and of course in the Holy Qubtic Church we know there's God the Mother as well. The one God of all the ages, that is the God of whom we believe, but we shall worship him through the spectacles of Ethiopia. For 250 years we have struggled under the burden and rigors of slavery. We were maimed, we were brutalized, we were ravaged in every way. We are men. We have hopes, we have passions, we have feelings. We have desires just like any other race. They cry of race all over the world, of Canada for the Canadians, of America for the Americans, of England for the English, of France for the French, or Germany for the Germans. But they think it unreasonable that we, the blacks of the world, should raise our cry, Africa for Africans. You see what's going on? It's only good enough for everybody else. But if your imagination will not allow for you to see it for yourself, then you can't have it. The Negro is a man. As Rodney Mongo would love to say, the Negro. The Negro is a man. We represent the new Negro. His back is not yet against the wall. We do not want his back against the wall because that would be a peculiar and desperate position. We do not want him there. It is because of this we are asking for a fair compromise. Well, the Belgians have control over the Belgian Congo, which they cannot use. They have not the resources to develop, nor the intelligence. The French have more territory than they can develop. There are certain parts of Africa in which they cannot live at all. So it is for you to come together and give us a United States of Africa. We are not going to be a race without a country. God never intended it, and we are not going to disappoint God's confidence in us as man. We are men, human beings, capable of the same acts as any other race, possessing under fair circumstances the same intelligence as any other race. Now Africa's been sleeping. Not dead, only sleeping. Okay, we can stick a pin there because we read from Psalm chapter 88, which is a prayer of deliverance from death. A prayer of deliverance from death. O Lord God, and that word God is Elohim or Naturu Elohim, of my salvation, I have cried day and night before thee. Okay? So Psalm, I'm going to look it up in the concordance now. Okay? So in one place you see the word cried as the word sa'ak, a primitive root, to shriek, by implication to proclaim, to call together, to gather. Okay? It says, let my prayer come before thee, incline thine ear unto my cry. Okay? This word cry is the word rinna, properly a creaking, a shrill sound, that is shout, joy, grief, cry, gladness, joy, rejoicing, shouting. It comes from another word, ranan, H7442, a primitive root, to properly to creak or emit a stridulous sound, that is to shout aloud for joy, cry out, be joyful, rejoice. Okay? It goes on to say, for my soul is full of troubles, and my life draweth nigh unto the grave. Now this is where we as a people are at today. We're suffering, our backs against the walls, and we are now at a point where this thing is reversing now. Don't think that it's going to get easier without us pushing back. You understand? Because with the way the recession is and with the way the world is going, those who have control of the resources, and they call themselves conservatives for a reason, because they're trying to conserve power. They don't want equal distribution of wealth. They don't want the playing field to be level, because they understand, like Marcus Garvey is saying, under fair circumstances we're just as intelligent or even more so than all people of the planet. You understand? So I'm going to jump down in chapter 88 of Psalms. To let's jump down to verse 10. Wilt thou show wonders to the dead? Are we going to wake up and see what's going on? See, the wonders are happening, you know. Question is, are you seeing it? Are you awake? Are you alive? Are you in your right mind to be able to see it? Shall the dead arise and praise thee? If you worshiping other than self and kind, you're dead. Shall thy loving kindness be declared in the grave, or thy faithfulness in destruction? Shall thy wonders be known in the dark, and thy righteousness in the land of forgetfulness? Amnesia. We have forgotten. I mean, this is the land of forget. When you have statues of all your the colonists still all strewn about the city, and you have no national heroes placed, then you're dead. You're in the grave. You understand? Rave is gravity. Gravity is hold you down. You understand? But unto thee have I cried, O Lord, and in the morning shall my prayer prevent thee. Lord, why castest thou off my soul? Why hidest thou thy face from me? God ain't hiding his face from you. You just saying, looking at, when you see the face, you ain't saying it's God. You looking for Jesus? Every time we tell you who Jesus is, you shriek a little. Tut Ankh-Amun, that's Jesus. King Tut is your Jesus. 2,000 years ago. That's what Revelation chapter 3 verse 14 calls him, the Amen. And then the Bible translators tell you, that's Jesus. So what other Amen is there than Tut Ankh-Amun that had the same characteristics as Jesus? They have, how many floors in the museum, Machine? 3 stories? 3 stories of his things in the Egyptian, or the Cairo Museum, that they allow you to see, that they took from the tomb. You understand? And you start going through them and you realize they stole your Jesus too. You don't know your Jesus. You understand? People who ain't gonna do nothing for you alive ain't gonna do nothing for you dead. Wake up. Amen? So let's jump back now into this wonderful speech by Marcus Garvey. It says, the Negro is a man. Let's start there so we don't get confused. The Negro is a man. We represent the new Negro. His back is not yet against the wall. We do not want his back against the wall because that would be a peculiar and desperate position. We do not want him there. It is because of this we are asking for a fair compromise. Where the Belgians have control over the Belgian Congo, which they cannot use. They have not the resources to develop, nor the intelligence. The French have more territory than they can develop. There are certain parts of Africa in which they cannot live at all. So it is for you to come together and give us the United States of Africa. We are not going to be a race without a country. God never intended it, and we are not going to disappoint God's confidence in us as men. We are men, human beings, capable of the same acts as any other race, possessing under the circumstances the same intelligence as any other race. Now Africa has been sleeping, not dead, only sleeping. Today Africa is walking around not only on our feet, but on our brains. You can enslave us for some 300 years, the bodies of men. You can shackle the hands of men. You can shackle the feet of men. You can imprison the bodies of men, but you cannot shackle or imprison the minds of men. And of course, he's speaking of humanity when he's saying men. Alright, men and women. Rise up, black men, and take your stand. Okay, this is the cry for today. Reach up, black men and women, and pull all nature's knowledge to you. Pull all nature's knowledge to you. He's talking about the Niteru. He's talking about Nataru Elohim. Turn ye around and make a conquest of everything north and south, east and west, and then when you have wrought well, you will have merited God's blessings. What he's saying is, until you utilize what the Most High is giving you, then you're not going to receive the blessings. You understand? You got to do your part in this. You will become God's chosen people, and naturally you'll become leaders of the world. And as you bow down to the white man today, so will others bow down to you and call you a race of masters because of the intelligence of your mind and your achievements. No race has the last word on culture and civilization. They do not know what we're capable of. They do not know what we're thinking. They are thinking in terms of dreadnoughts, battleships, airplanes, and submarines. You know what we are thinking about? That is our own private business. Any leadership, and I must say that this, what I did with this particular speech, it's a longer speech than this. I pulled out portions, okay? So you can go back and you can Google it and you can check it out. Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. Successive governments have taught us to depend on the colonial masters. And now they are the ones enslaving us. What do I mean by that? Am I pointing directly at Perry Christie, Hubert Ingram, or Hubert Minnis, or any of them and saying, you are the one enslaving us? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's designed in such a way now, because you're not in control, that every stroke of the pen is another shackle being put back on us. Right? Amun? Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. They gave leadership to our foreparents, and that leadership made them slaves. But we have decided to find the leadership of our own, to make ourselves free men. Our great scholars have advanced through the colleges and universities, have thrown away the blackened record. Babylon did it, Assyria did it, France under Napoleon did it, Germany under Prince John Bismarck did it, England did it, America under George Washington did it, Africa, with now more than 400 million black people, can do it. If you cannot do it, if you are not prepared to do it, then you will die. You've heard that speech before? Yes? Then you will die. You race of cowards, you race of imbeciles, you race of good-for-nothings. If you cannot do what other men have done, what other nations have done, what other races have done, then you had better die. I feel that 100%. 100%. Because we around here joking. Can we do it? Can we do it?
Yes, we can.
We can do it. We shall do it. We pray to our God for vision and for leadership, and He has given us a universal vision. A vision that will not limit our possibilities to America. A vision that will not limit our possibilities to the West Indies. But a vision that says that there must be a free and redeemed Africa. Because the time has come for the black man to forget his hero worship of other races and to create and emulate heroes of his own. We must canonize our own saints. People wondering why in the original books of the Bible, when you open up the book, the first thing you see, one of the first things you see is the silsila, the unbroken genetic chain of Bibis and Babas. And these are our canonized saints. We canonize them. We didn't ask anybody if it was okay to canonize Bob Marley or Marcus Garvey or Harriet Tubman or Nzinga. We canonize them. We are the guardian angelic hosts on the earth. We are the hands of those celestial beings that are working on earth so that heaven can be brought to earth. It's us. You understand? The helping hand you're looking for is at the end of your arm. Okay? It goes on to say, because the time has come for black man to forget his hero worship of other races and to create and emulate heroes of his own, we must canonize our own saints, create our own martyrs, and elevate to positions of fame and honor black men and women who have made their distinct contributions to our racial history. Put the statues up. We just get to the point where we could put a couple truck runners up in the airport. They wouldn't put up us around folks. You understand? Who's to talk about these same things? You understand? They want to put up a bunch of political people, a bunch of paper pushers. Huh? Sojourner Truth is worthy of the place of sainthood alongside Joan of Arc. Crispus Attucks and George William Gordon are entitled to the halo of martyrdom with no less glory than that of the martyrs of any other race. Toussaint Louverture's brilliancy as a soldier or a statesman outlined that of any other people. Hence, he is entitled to the highest place as a hero among men. Let no voice but your own speak to you from the depths. Let no voice but your own speak to you from the depths. So it can't be a voice coming up at you. It can't be somebody who don't look like you telling you what God is. They can't tell you what God is because they don't know what God is for you because they wasn't around when God was making you. Amen. Let no voice but your own speak to you from the depths. Let no influence but your own arouse you in time of peace and time of war. Hear all, listen, hear all, but attend only to that which concerns you. Hear all, but attend only to that which concerns you. That's called wisdom. You understand? That's called wisdom. Your allegiance shall be to your God, your race, your country. Remember that the Jew in his political and economic urges is always first a Jew. The white man is first a white man under all circumstances. So you can do no less Be black, buy black, think black, and all else will take care of itself. Let no one inoculate you with evil doctrines to suit his own conveniences. This is why we are now in mental slavery. We've been inoculated, all right, with evil doctrines to suit others on their own conveniences. Charity begins where? At home. So first to thyself be true, thou canst not then be false to no man. God and nature first made us first what we are, and out of our own creative genius we make ourselves what we want to be. Follow that great law. Let God and the sky be our limit, and eternity our measurement. There is no height to which you cannot climb without the active intelligence of your own mind. Mind creates, and as much as we desire in nature, we can have through the creation of our own minds. We have to think it. And today, being scientifically the weaker race, you shall treat others only as they treat you. But in your homes and everywhere possible, you must teach the higher development of science to your children, and make sure that we have a race of scientists par excellence. For in religion and science lies our only hope to withstand the evil designs of modern materialism. For in religion and science, how you can get a degree in biology and go to seminary? I didn't know about this speech when I did that. I just wanted you to see how the Most High is working. In religion and science lies our only hope to withstand the evil designs of modern materialism. Never forget your God. Remember that we live, work, and pray for a binding racial hierarchy, whose only natural, spiritual, and political limit shall be God and Africa at home and abroad. With God's dearest blessings, I leave you for a while. One love. That's how he says it. And so this speech, if I had written that last night, would still apply today. So something is wrong with us. Something is wrong with us bad. So emancipate yourself from mental slavery. You have to do it. The books are being written. Gabriel is here with us. You understand? And making sure that we have what we need to do what we have to do. There's no more excuses. Let's build the Holy Qubtic Church. Let's make it a leading church in this country. The leaders know about us, but now they're waiting to see if we are what we say we are. And so it's up to us now. We're doing the groundwork. We are on the radio stations and the TV, and I say we, even though it may be me there, y'all there with me. You understand? Because if y'all wasn't there, if y'all wasn't here, it wouldn't be no need for me to go on the radio. I just have a bunch of books. You understand? But people don't ask me about me, they ask me about y'all. How many people in your church? But we are starting more than just a church. We are starting a religion. Atonism is a way of life. We're binding to it, and that's why we say it's a religion. And this is why we, the free thinkers, in 2013 and beyond, are going to do things that this country is depending on us for. Don't mind them being proud, the plenty incense and plenty robe and thing on. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. I'm telling you, they know they don't know what they're talking about. Because they come to me. They ain't come to you. They come to me. Like Nicodemus. You understand? At night when nobody could see. On Facebook. I can call them out. But they do. And they don't know what they're talking about. And when we say it, they say, oh, that makes sense. Well, if it makes sense now, what you been doing all this time? Something that don't make sense, eh? Come on now. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Amen. Bob Marley said it. He's a saint in the Holy Qubtic Church. Today we say it. As we celebrate Emancipation Day, let's enjoy our families. Let's enjoy our country. But most of all, let's continue to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery. And with that I say, Amen.
You have been listening to the True Light Fellowship Hour, brought to you by the Qubtic Church of the Black Messiah, Journey Home Group International, located Meadow Street, Bain Town, and led in the Bahamas by Pastor Cleveland W. Eneas III. If this message has been a blessing for you today, and you feel it in your heart to assist us in bringing forth this weekly message by way of advertising or otherwise, or you wish a copy of this message, we ask that you please contact us at 242-426-1148 or email us at qubticrevealer@gmail.com. That's QUBTIC revealer@gmail.com, or on Facebook, the Qubtic Church of the Black Messiah, Journey Home Group International, Bahamas Branch. We bow to the divinity in you all by saying Namaste.
Eluti mingi ngana kukukateo Ukulu ya bikamwa yonde wina ya bumu inanga